Welcome to What the Famicom, home of video game nonsense. Enjoy.
What the Famicom? What the Famicom? What the Famicom? What the Famicom?
Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of the What the Famicom podcast, a podcast about video game nonsense, bullshit, discussions about things in the video game world that you didn't really think you wanted to know or needed to know or cared about. And I'm here to tell you that it's just as unimportant as you thought it was. So I'm just going to ramble on about video games, and I hope you enjoy. So for today's episode, you might be able to tell from the name of the episode, it's about a certain title that's pretty famous in the PlayStation era. And I actually have a guest today who is an influence on the subject of the podcast today. It's an old friend. I've known him for about 30 some years, to be honest. He goes by the handle Molten Funk on Instagram and Twitter. So if you want to find him on there, just look up Molten Funk. You want to introduce yourself?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I thought you meant do they want to introduce themselves to me? And I was like, what are they going to do? Genitals?
That doesn't make sense.
Okay, I don't know. Well, if they want to introduce themselves to me, that would be fine as well. I accept all sorts of gratitudes, pictures, anything. Like nudies. I said, nudies, yeah, nudalities.
Nudalities.
Kung Lao, nudalities. Anyway, I'm Nick. I've been Dan's What the Famicon's friend forever. And the whole reason he has me on this episode tonight, folks, a little bit of credentials. My AOL screen name was Soul Reaver 6.
That's it. I wanted you to tell them.
I know
I didn't want to
did.
take credit.
I could tell. So you could say I got some credentials. I'm good for this one, So we're talking about Soul Reaver, dude. Isn't that weird? We always joke about Soul Reaver, and now we're finally talking about it.
Can I jump in and just let our listeners know that, your AOL screen name was Soul Reaver 6, but you want to tell them what letter it was missing?
Second E. Apparently Soul Reaver 6 was taken, so I had Soul Reaver 6. You didn't pronounce the as long in the
I bet you when you logged in all the chat rooms, they just thought you were the fucking worst.
Yeah, they kind of did. It was weird. People were like, we thought Raziel was showing up, and I'd be like,
no, just one E.
Yeah, just one E, folks. What's really crazy about this game and the lore it has and everything going with it is that it's the second game. No one talks about the first game.
So yeah, that's a great point, because this was like the peak of the series. So just a little quick refresher before we go into our details and the actual details of it. It was a game that came out on the PlayStation, and it came out on Microsoft Windows and Dreamcast.
Did it come out on Dreamcast?
Yeah, it came out on the Dreamcast. I remember.
No kidding. I know I remember it came out on Dreamcast, because remember they would always do side-by-sides of graphics comparisons on the system.
Dreamcast looks like fucking amazing.
Yeah. Oh, it did. It would look great compared to the PlayStation even.
Yeah, so it was a sequel to Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain, which was also a PlayStation title. It came out on the PlayStation, the Windows, and the Dreamcast, all from August. It's almost been 20 years. It came out August 16th, 1999 in North America and Europe, and the PlayStation.
It's kind of wild that it's exactly that many years later.
So maybe I should hold this podcast, this episode for 2 weeks, and then I look like I really lined the shit out of this.
Yeah, but then the sentences we just said for the past 3 sentences wouldn't make sense.
Oh, fuck.
It's all over.
You're right.
You ruined it. It's over.
So you said...
When did Blood Omen come out? Can you find... hold on.
So Blood Omen came out in 96.
So this is 99, correct?
99.
So Blood Omen came out, and it was actually a par game, I want to say. Because I want to say like above par, below par, but it was just par, right? It was like an okay game.
Yeah, so I do want to get in the history of that. Before, what are your actual memories of the game?
Which one?
Of Soul Reaver.
Oh, no. It's funny because I can't talk about my memories of the game unless I talk about my memories before the game came out. This game was a game that came across my radar in GamePro or literally one of the gamer magazines that only nerds had. Mm-hmm. So it was like Legacy of Kain is a gothic tale of twisted woe and vampiric revenge and something like that. And I was like, whoa, that's really cool. And I actually remember the cover art, the green cover that says Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver with all the weird lettering or whatever, and it has Raziel on there, all in his cape, like looking down on something. Like that's one of the first things I saw in the game, and I was like, this looks cool as hell because he has claws. He doesn't even have like hands, and he's kind of a vampire, but he's not. And
But he's
he's
not.
like,
He has no jaw.
no. Well, I didn't know that from the picture, but I mean, it caught my eye right away, and I was like, this is cool. And I don't know, just something about the graphics, the theme, the whole. It was different than most games, and I really liked the look of it. So I started reading articles on it, and I would read every article I could find. And this is all before the game came out, and I never played Blood Omen. I didn't play Blood Omen until after Soul Reaver. So this is technically the first game for me. And I knew the whole plot before the game came out. So 99, you could find video clips like promos for games, but it was like hard to find, and like you could download them and it would take a full day.
They would buffer and they would ruin your Wi-Fi or whatever you had.
No, what I did is I had dial-up, and I actually downloaded. Yeah, I actually downloaded. I didn't just buffer it and watch it. I downloaded, so it would download to my computer the Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver intro, which to me this day is one of the best intros ever. And I saw this.
I fucking agree.
Game.
It's phenomenal.
Dude, it's awesome, and the graphics were like 10 years ahead of its time. Like it was where all the for the record, this is all like it's a vampire game. It's like Kain is a vampire and he gets powers from defeating people and doing stuff, and he has to decide if he's going to maintain the pillars or make
there you
everything
go. There's
fall.
my boy coming out with lore.
No, listen, a little bit. Anyway, he can decide the fate of the world and all this stuff, and he eventually chooses evil, more evil and evil, because he loves eating people, he loves getting power, he loves absolute power.
Wait, he loves eating people? Vampires don't really eat people.
Well, eating from them. Like, once you eat from them, they died in the game.
Yeah, but you said he enjoys eating people, and I wanted to...
Well, he was also, they said, phonetic with his tongue on the females.
That's not... Let me look up my notes. I don't think that's
you can find it in the lore. I mean, you got to look real deep, and I'm talking deep.
Like, I gotta... Nah.
Didn't see it? Weird.
Nah, it's not. I don't find it. Maybe it's on the dark web.
It must be on the dark web.
I mean, it makes sense. It's a gothic game. It's probably on the dark web.
It's very dark web. But it's cool because I learned more about this game before it came out than any game previous, probably. Because this was also the height of my ability to look things up. Like, because 2 years prior, I probably couldn't...
Wait. The height of your abilities to look things up. Like, there was barely an internet then.
I know, but like...
How was that the height?
Well, it was the height of my ability to look up video games stuff. Like, 2 years earlier, I could type in the name of a video game and I would just get the video game for sale on like Target or Walmart or whatever website would pop up. Like, it was finally, I could find articles online. This is probably one of the first times I could find, like literature or something to read about or news about a game.
Yeah, can we be honest though?
Yeah, go ahead.
2 years prior, your parents probably couldn't even fucking afford a computer, dude.
You're probably right. They were probably banging on rocks, telling me it was a Colloquio 5668.
You were in a cardboard box. You were wondering if you were going to eat the next day.
Yeah, I was wondering, but then 2 years later, fast forward, here I am. I can Google Raziel. Thank God for the internet.
I don't even think. I mean, was Google around then?
I don't know if it was Google, but I know I was looking all over the website for like pictures of Raziel and like articles.
I remember a video game search engine called Antagonist.
What?
Ant. It was called like ANT, and it was like a little window, and you were able to search for. I don't even think it was just video games, but it was like what Yahoo eventually became. It was like a little search engine, but it was called Antagonist.
That's crazy.
And you would use it all the time. I would see on your computer. It was the weirdest thing. So I mean, that kind of, to be honest, that segues into my memories of this game are all your memories. Like I'm a fraud because I sort of discovered this game for myself through you a couple years later. Like you got so hype. It
It
I
was
didn't even know.
my first hype train. And do you
Yeah.
know it was delayed 2 times? They were like, this is going to release in summer of 99. Then they're like, oh, maybe fall 99. Then they're like, ooh, might get pushed back to 2000, like in February. And for me, that was the most damning thing in my life because I wasn't used to things getting pushed back. I was like, that's impossible.
Aside from when you got shit pushed in, you know.
I got my shit pushed in, homie. Did you? Mmm. Yeah.
So I guess that sort of
Mhm.
that goes right into what I usually talk about on these podcasts is sort of like a what the fuck happened, like why, what, where of certain video game topics. And you just said like it got delayed. Legacy of Kain was a franchise that people seem to enjoy, and even though it hit its peak on its second title, there was more games afterwards. So it was like, where did this franchise go? How did it peak after its second game? How did it dwindle? Why does nobody care about it at all?
You could say that about every game in a way. Like, name a game from 15 years ago. Like, people will find a way to not care about it. In fact, this podcast will publish, and then in 4 years, there will be some kind of weird reawakening for Legacy of Kain. And we won't say, oh, finally people care. We say, God damn it, now people care. They're so annoying. They don't
Yeah.
get it. They're not real. They're not real fans. Like, we
Mhm.
will literally be mad at them. So, to be fair, it's like, I don't know. But what's crazy to me is the production and the thinking and the plot and the architecture that went into this game and the design were bigger than any game that it should have been.
Well,
Like
you said
Mhm.
plot. So you said architecture. Describe, I mean, because I
Well,
can too, but just describe
sure.
what the game is. Like
It's
in
so essentially from the intro video, which I recommend everyone friggin' watch because even like 20 years later, it's still awesome.
dude, you can curse on this podcast, man. This ain't PG. This ain't your mama's podcast.
I know, I know. It's not my mama's or my friend Dan's podcast, the other Dan. um, no, but it's real cool because you're a vampire and you all have like special powers, and usually your leader Kane, who from the previous, he evolutes before you, and then other people start getting his powers. Well, you were the first vampire, one of his lieutenants, Raziel, and you have evolution before him. You grow wings. And he's looking at your wings and he's like, oh, really? The first vampire ever to grow wings before me. Like, wow, that's incredible. And he's walking around you. He's walking around you and he just rips those friggin' wings in half, like right off your back, because he didn't want anyone having evolution before him. He didn't want anyone getting a power before he had it. And then he looks at his lieutenant. Actually, that's funny. He doesn't even look at him. He just looks over his shoulder, and your guy is screaming there in pain, and he goes, "Cast him in." I still remember the
Yeah,
sentence. That's so weird.
throws him
And
into the lake of
the Lake
fire
of
or something.
Fire or whatever, yeah, the Lake of the Dead, something like that. And he throws him in, and your whole body starts burning and just eating up. So it eats away your jaw, it eats away his wings, it eats away his like limbs, and he would usually die, but there's this weird elder god under the sea that's like a giant eye and an octopus, and it lets you not die. Don't ask about the
It
reason
lets
behind
you
this.
not die.
Yeah, that's what it. But it does let you die. So now your character Raziel, like he lives in the soul world, which is the world of the dead, where everything's twisted and weird and like green and like twisted architecture, and the map looks all shady and weird. And then you can morph back to the world of the living. But when you're in the living world, you need health. If that makes sense. I mean, that was just for the game, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah, just to let everyone know that's listening, that
Yeah.
all happens in the 3 minute intro cutscene in the
Yeah.
beginning.
The
This is
greatest cutscene.
this is the greatest cutscene ever. It
Even
honestly,
great,
it's
even great voice acting, right?
great voice act. The voice acting in this is like
Yeah.
Shakespeare,
Yeah.
gothic,
Yeah.
drenched in like I don't even know, like professionalism. Like these
Yeah.
dudes are dedicated to this part of these vampire lore
Well,
Hamlet.
and production, like it's really well done. Like the voice matches up with the lips, which is weird for a PlayStation game in 1999.
Yeah.
Usually it's like they kind of siphon filter it and it's like Gabrielle Logan.
Oh,
It's like
fucking that
whatever.
intro and siphon
I
filter,
know.
I wanted to
It's
throw up.
so but it's so funny now that I enjoy it. But back then it was pretty bad, careless.
Fucking Gabe Logan.
Gabe
Everybody.
Logan, no, or Gabrielle Logan, always the optimist.
That'll be episode 4, Siphon
Yeah,
Filter. What a
Siphon
piece of
Filter.
shit that was.
Anton Gurdu. It
Man,
ends here. Yeah, I
you
know.
could say that whole speech from that game.
I
You're
know,
disgusting.
but I'm not going to.
You have a girlfriend, you have a full-time job and a baby, and you can say that whole monologue of the bad guy from that game.
Can you say either of us have a girlfriend?
Nah.
Video games is our girlfriend, I guess. Now.
Yeah, basically.
So, what's crazy to me about this game? So I just described the plot a little bit. Now you're seeking revenge on Kain, and your character can float between the living and the dead. And what's crazy is every enemy you defeat gives you powers. So you're kind of like Kain. You're kind of like Kain again, except revenge against Kain.
Yeah.
And your guy's blue, which is cool. And he has 3-fingered claws. It's badass. And glowing eyes. And he can eat souls because his jaw's missing. Ugh,
So I remember that. I remember shifting through the soul world and the real world, and I remember.
Did you know this is one of the first games to have what was it called?
No load times?
Yes, real-time shifting, no
There's
load times.
absolutely no load times. So
Which is
if anyone's
wild.
fucking listening, if you have Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, there's no load times in that goddamn game, which is perfect.
That's insane when you think about it. There's still
Mhm.
games today that have load times.
I was just playing a game called We Happy Few. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No.
It's a newer game, but it's like 2 or 3 years old. It was kind of high profile,
Mhm.
but it took forever to come out. And I just tried it on the Xbox. And in 2019, there should not be load times. The load times were like a legit 3 minutes long.
Oh, dude, 3
Before I started the
minutes? Oh, that's terrible.
It was disgusting. I didn't even want to play the game anymore.
That's so weird. It also shows how spoiled we are, but at the same time, like, I agree with you.
Yeah. So I remember the shifting through time. I remember it being like there's a lot. So when he was falling through the Lake of the Dead and his face was burning off and everything, the narrator, or no, he was the narrator. He was voicing it. He was doing the voice.
He was doing the voiceover. It was him.
He talked about how like basically a millennium went by as he was going through the
Yeah,
I guess
time
the
does
curse
go
of
by.
being
That's
scorched.
so weird. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So when you wake up, the whole world has changed. It's been a millennium. You've been gone. Everyone, all these lieutenants had their own clans. You were the head of a clan. Now everyone's just completely fucked. All your brethren are monsters. There's no humans whatsoever. Kain is nowhere to be found. I remember this. I'm like, that's why it's so dormant.
Mhm.
That's why it's so desolate. That's why it's so fucking goddamn creepy there. And it's just, I forget what else. I know there's time travel. I know the Soul Reaver.
There is. It starts getting convoluted when you go to Soul Reaver 2 and stuff, but I focus on Soul Reaver by itself because I think that was a greater work, and the other ones were kind of just, I don't know.
We'll get to the other ones.
Go ahead, please. Mhm.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I remember the Soul Reaver being his weapon, and then time travel, and then there was the final fight with Kain. You fought Kain.
There's a big
And
thing about
then
that. Dude, that wasn't
you fight
supposed
him.
to be the end of the game.
It was supposed to be the end of the game, and you fight.
No, it was not supposed to be the end of the game.
But so you fight him. You go through a portal, and then you meet Mobius, the time streamer. I think he was called the time streamer. He was the first streamer.
Yeah,
He didn't even have
Mobius.
Twitch. He was the first streamer. He was the time streamer, and he says something like, "This is your destiny, Raziel." And Raziel looks at the camera, and then the credits roll. And I remember either playing it with you, or you telling me about this, and you're like, "Yeah, it kind of just ends. Like it was unfinished."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Wait, I don't know." Like my feeble brain back then, I was like, "What do you mean unfinished? That doesn't make sense. Like, why would they put a game out unfinished?" So were you disappointed? Did you know it was unfinished?
I knew beforehand it was going to be unfinished or like weird or rushed or whatever, so it didn't surprise me. And I think I pretended to like it, but really I didn't like it at all.
You pretended to be okay with the abrupt.
Yeah, I was gonna be like, it's gonna be fine, man. It's gonna be cool. I love this game. For the record, I thought it was a cool game too because we skipped over this, but like the way you fought was like you impaled dudes on spikes you found around there, or like you had your. Yeah, dude, you could throw them in fire. You could throw them over edges. Like it was an interactive environment type game where you could throw your enemies into things. I thought that was really cool. Like you throw them into sunlight, I think, and they would catch fire if it was in a
Yeah,
certain
yeah,
area,
oh yeah.
which is badass, especially for a vampire game.
This
Especially
game
for a
is like
vampire,
10 years ahead of its time with everything.
100%. It's just except for the ending. So the idea was you would get all these powers. Like there was a point where you learned to swim. Like before, you touch water, it kills you. But
Hmm.
this lets you. It's like a Castlevania in that when you unlock a new power, it unlocks a new area. Like you have to swim to a new area. So now you have the
Yeah.
swim power. You can get to a new
What?
area.
Wait, what
What?
Castlevania game did that happen to?
I think they call those Castlevanian games. It's a term I've heard in the video game industry. I think it means you get a
Uh,
power
I
and
don't
unlocks a
think.
new
Okay.
branch. I think I could be wrong. Who? Someone call me out. You got my
Yeah.
handle.
I want viewers to call him out.
Call
I
me
mean,
out.
the
I
one
want you to
viewer
come to
that's
my
probably listening.
house. I want you to come to my house with a gun. I want you to put it in my
Oh
mouth.
my
I want you
God.
to do this in front of my entire family. I want you to do this in front of my boss. I want you to call up my parents. I want you to call my grandparents. And I want you to say, is it really a Castlevanian? I'll give you the right answer at that point. But until you do that, we're
Until
just
you
gonna.
do that, you're a total bitch.
So, you're getting all these cool powers. What I read is there's a lot of conceptual art that went into this game. So they didn't just build this game willy-nilly, as I like to say. They actually designed architecture based on Gothic designs. Like they went back through medieval times. They designed pillars. They designed dams, castles, shit like that. And there was a lot of concept art you can find for this game where they had actual architects design shit to make it look cool and Gothic and like old school and badass and just like look ridiculous. And then from then they coded the game to look like that.
That's
Now,
really cool. I didn't.
right, there's so much work done. Like I'm looking at a
Yeah.
page that has all these like black and white artworks done. They also did different renditions of Raziel and what he looked like killing his enemies. Like there was a lot of putting down concepts before they even made this game.
Yeah.
One of the cool things was uh, they were supposed to have all these different areas that tied into each other. So, like, there's something called the Necropolis, the far northwest territory that had Malchiah and his clan, the Malchiah, and the Force Glyph you were supposed to get from there, and then be able to use the Neuropata's Retreat. Like, I'm reading these places. I don't 100% remember, but they were written down. It was supposed to be kind of like a book. You were supposed
Hmm.
to get a silence cathedral where no sound was allowed and the vampires would fight with silence. And
Oh
then
wow.
like in that cathedral there you would get the sound glyph, which would give your soul reaver the power of sound and you could make sound. You could like make bells toll and crap. Like they had all these ideas planned out, like where you would get different glyphs and your soul reaver would have different powers imbued with it, and these powers would unlock new things and let you do cool things. Well, guess what? Production team only gave them so much money. Timeline, who's made by Eidos and
It
Crystal,
was
right?
made by Eidos Interactive. It was developed by Crystal Dynamics.
And Crystal. So whatever happened is one of the two said to the other, like, "Hey, we need this released in like 6 months," and they were like, "This is going to take 5 years." Like you know what I mean? Like we have to do this. The storyline
Yeah.
has to check out. We got to get new powers involved here. They literally cut out like 4 or 5 of the Reavers because they
Hmm.
were just like, listen, we don't have time for it. We're going to cut through them. Then they get to the end of the game where it's like the fight with Kain, the end fight. They were like, it's supposed to be a sequel anyway. This isn't the real ending. We're going to include all this stuff about time travel. And they're like, let's just cut it short and include it and do it to be continued. And I think they were like, there was fights infighting at the studios, but what are you going to do? I mean, the game's been delayed twice now. So I think they were just like, yep, let's do it.
You're right.
Yeah.
There's a lot more behind that. Like how Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver ended on a cliffhanger and sort of
It's
didn't know what
crazy.
else it.
It's also crazy because games nowadays it's like you buy a game half in development for $5 and you can play it for like 6 months. Like that's the
Yeah,
norm.
and then like an
Back
episode comes
then,
out
yeah,
or
but back
DLC
then,
or shit like
no.
that.
Back then it was like if you buy a game, it better be done. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah, so going off of that, let me rewind a
Mhm.
minute and start from the beginning because
Mhm.
we sort of dipped our toes into the first game. We're going to see if we can trace how it went wrong, where it went wrong. So the first game in the series, we mentioned it, was called Blood Omen: Legacy of Kain.
Okay.
And you mentioned how it was
96?
96 just for the,
Sure.
I believe it just for the PlayStation.
Yeah, just
But
PlayStation.
it was a top-down fantasy RPG-esque,
Mhm.
and you played as from what I remember, you play as the first level is you're this guy Kane. He was in a bar. He gets killed.
I forgot.
He gets
was
killed.
at a bar.
He's
That's so
then
funny.
he's in hell, but it's not
Uh-huh.
really hell. It's just some demon is like, yo, dog, go out. I'll raise you from the dead. You're a vampire. Go do something. It's like, I think it was like trickery.
Really shortchanging all the terminology, but I like it. You're like, go do
Well,
something. Yeah.
Well, he basically was sort of manipulating Kane. He just brought him back to life to sort of interfere with like this vampire mafia yakuza like type group, and and this demon wanted them out of the way. So he asked Kane. He was like, "Yo, Kane, can you do this for me?" And Kane was like, "Well, first I'm gonna find the people that killed me. Secondly, I'll help you."
Yeah,
So
revenge.
that was the
revenge.
first game. It was all about revenge, and I remember I never finished it, but it was like apparently 60 hours long of you just running around.
Jesus Christ, really?
Yeah, I didn't even know this. There was time travel involved in this one too.
Jeez.
There is like a bajillion mentions of time travel in literally every single one of these games. So, long story short, you find these pillars, and the area in which this whole universe takes place is this
Pillars
world
of Nosgoth.
Nosgoth.
Yeah.
And you find these pillars, the pillars of Nosgoth, and they each represent something different to make the world run, I guess, to make their world like whole.
Right,
And
wasn't it based on like values and shit?
Yes, basically.
Yeah.
And in the end, you defeat, I don't even fucking know. I don't even care to look up this dude's name, but you defeat the bad guy. And you realize that Kane finds out that he's supposed to be one of the pillars, and he's supposed to decide what to do with the world. So he can either choose to, I guess, kill himself and bring balance to the world, or stay a vampire and curse the whole world and curse the world and the vampires. So the route in which the people that made the sequel decided to make the bad ending canon. So they were like, you know what, this ending's really fucked up. We love it. Let's make a sequel based off that.
Fucked up.
So
he picked the bad ending.
Yeah. So the details of it is Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, released 2 years after, takes place 1,500 years after the first game. It's about Raziel. He's a lieutenant. Kain has literally wiped out 99.9% of humanity. If there's any humans left, they're probably fucking
slaves or
slaves or something. And Kain just rules with an iron fist. And like you rehash the story about Raziel and how he got his wings ripped off. And so when he got burned and he disappeared for 1,000 years, and you start playing the game, you find out all your other lieutenant brothers are all literally monsters now. And their whole clans, all these dudes that you throw on spikes, you throw in flames that you were talking about, and this desolate landscape, everyone's a monster now. So there's all your brothers, I believe their names are Micaiah.
Yeah, there's Micaiah.
Sepron.
Micaiah. Yeah.
Rahab and Duma.
Dumas. Yeah.
And there was a fifth one. He was omitted because of the development, but his name was Terrell.
Okay.
So that's basically the gist of it. Production began in February '97. There was a 2.5 year gap between, actually starting production and it actually coming out. I believe you hinted at this, that they were showing it in magazines. Like you were able to see it everywhere. I remember demo discs coming out.
Yeah, I had the demo disc for this game.
I read an interview with the creator, the person that wrote, directed, and designed it. Her name was Amy Henning. And she, funny enough, she was the creator of the Uncharted series. So she made this huge game, and she went on to go make Uncharted. And Uncharted's like one of the biggest.
Yeah, I had no idea. I didn't come across that. That's badass.
And interesting that another game that she made was called, it was a Super Nintendo game called Michael Jordan Chaos in the Windy City.
Oh my God.
And listen, you want to hear the plot of this game. So real quick, this plot of this Michael Jordan game, it's a side-scrolling action game. A little before a Scottie Pippen charity game, Michael Jordan's teammates are abducted by a mad scientist named Maximus Cranium, and you have to find them. And that's it. So she went from this Michael Jordan game to Legacy of Kain to Uncharted.
Wow. Well,
Yeah,
look it
she's
up.
really
Look it up.
famous. But she basically went on to say that they showed Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver too early to people, and everyone got so psyched. So I think it was Eidos or whoever. I think it was Eidos. They were
Yeah.
like, "Yo, you need to release this as fast as possible because people are drooling right now because they
Yeah,
want it."
everyone wants it.
So they released it with half of the shit cut out. They released it because the brother was omitted. All the stuff you were talking about,
Hmm.
all the Soul Reavers that he could have gotten,
Yeah.
puzzles, content, gameplay, a lot. Like, I think it's like 5 hours worth of content were cut out. So at the end, you know the ending. You fight Kain. You come
Yeah.
out. I told you you meet Mobius,
Mobius, who just
the
shows
first
up out
Twitch
of
streamer,
nowhere.
and
Yeah.
he says something. And I read that apparently when you fight Kain, the original ending of this was you fight
Uh-huh.
Kain. Kain gets injured. You suck out some of his soul. You get a new ability. There's like 3 or 4 more like huge areas. You find out that Kain ran away to like this retreat, this like mountain castle that he has, this mountain retreat, which is fucking weird. I don't even like he's a vampire in a desolate world. Why does
Sure.
he need a retreat? But you fight him, you kill him, and then another weird thing was that apparently it's your destiny to go to this cathedral and play this. What's those like giant
Oregon?
organs? You play a giant organ in this cathedral, and apparently the pipes cleanse the population of vampires for good. Like this is like this mystical pipe cleaning. I don't know what I don't know what the
Sounds
fuck it was,
like
but apparently you do this, and the pipes like wipe out all the vampires everywhere. And the elder god, the dude you were talking about, that's raised
underneath
that's
the elder,
Raziel for life.
the elder.
Basically, he just thanks Raziel for doing it, and he's
does
like,
it.
"Yo, thanks for doing that. See you later." And then the
Yeah.
game ends.
Either way, it sounds like they didn't have an ending for this game in general.
Yeah,
So
you're
that
right. If it was the original ending or if it was the abrupt ending that we got, it
either
still
one
seems
doesn't
like
seem like very good.
yeah, like I'm kind of glad that they took away like 5 hours of content. It would have just been like nonsense.
No, I mean the content would have been cool, I think. Well, it depends on your direction of it. So check this. I didn't. So I thought it was a very well done graphically game, like
Mm.
probably 9 out of 10. Did you hear when it released, how it was acclaimed?
I don't have ears, so I couldn't hear that at the time. But
How it was acclaimed. It got like a 91 out of 100 on like basis of all the websites. This is according to like Metacritic and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Most people say it was the most ambitious game of its time.
Oh,
blah,
it
blah,
was.
blah, like, so it got good reviews. It's not like people hated it and no one bought it. Here's something that's crazy to me, and I didn't realize it until I just saw this right here. So I really love the music in it. It's very well done, like everything else. Um, Kurt Harlan composed most of the music for Soul River.
Who
Jim Hedges
cares?
handled the remaining audio. I don't know. Who cares?
I'm just kidding.
Under Harlan remarked that under Amy Hennig's direction, who you mentioned,
Yeah.
he programmed music to change based on the current gameplay situation. For example, combat or swimming. This variation was accomplished through a custom musical instrument digital interface driver, which altered music based on signals from the game engine. Each vampire tribe had corresponding music. One tribe
That's
of
fucking
vampires.
amazing.
I know, and this is 99. This is what started this whole shit. Because now this is like commonplace. Like this
It's
is
like
what
a
you
child
do.
could do this for our mobile app, you know?
Right. No. Not 99. One
Yeah.
tribe of vampires was associated with slow thumping theme to convey a sense of working machinery.
What?
Further fit their environment, the sound team consulted level designers regarding layout and appearance. Music from both Soul Reaver and Soul Reaver 2 released in the soundtrack. Blah, blah, blah. Oh,
So
do you know
you
who Michael Bell was the voice
Michael
of
Bell was
Raziel?
Raziel?
Yeah. Do you know who that is?
I
He's like a
know I
voice
know his
actor in
voice
a
from other stuff.
million things.
Yeah.
But it's like a secondary actor in everything you've ever seen.
Hmm.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that I mean, another side note, it has been the same Raziel and same Kain from the very first game, Blood Omen, to the very last one they made. So they keep it consistent because they know these guys are fucking great. So I'll give them that. And you were saying
Mhm.
something about Soul Reaver 2, right?
I started touching on it. I actually never beat Soul Reaver 2. Oh wait,
Well,
Good.
so no, what's really interesting, you were just talking about all these crazy things about like how the
yeah,
sound changed and
yeah,
the architecture and the no load times. Like, if this game was so fucking great, phenomenal, and it was critically acclaimed, and people, I think a lot of people just didn't like the ending and they knew that it was unfinished. But other than
sure.
that, it sold really well. So what the fuck happened? What the fuck happened to the series? So you never played Soul Reaver 2. I did. I remember having it for the PlayStation 2. It
Hmm.
came out in 2001. Came out for the PS2 and the Windows. It was just called, I don't
Soul
even think it
Reaver
was
2.
called Legacy of
It's called
Kain
Soul
Soul Reaver.
Reaver 2. Yeah,
It was literally just called Soul Reaver 2.
yeah.
And it just continued. So since they had to abruptly end Soul Reaver 1, they kind of just went off that. They made that abrupt ending like legit. So it literally starts from where that ends. And he comes out and he talks to the guy Mobius. And
Yeah,
he's
he
like,
literally comes out of the fight scene. You're in the same
yeah.
room, which is weird. It's almost like, okay.
And so there's, again, I vaguely remember this. I remember really liking it, but I remember there's way more time travel in this. There's
Uh-huh.
way more, you find out more about the past of Nosgoth itself between the time of Kain picking the band ending and now. And you
Uh-huh.
find out that there was a group of people called the Sarafan, which
Seraphim.
were
Yeah, 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 or what Seraphim,
famous, they
whatever you
were
want. Yeah.
vampire hunters. They fucking despised vampires and they wanted to like destroy them throughout the whole time. So in the history of Nosgoth, you go back in time and you go back to a period of time where before Kain kind of corrupted everybody, and you actually fight your human self and you actually wind up winning in that fight. You
Oh
kill
yeah.
one of the bosses is Raziel as a human.
Yeah.
You fight him, you kill him, and he's dead. And in the future, he gets raised by Kain as a vampire lieutenant. So you're the
Yeah.
reason why
Yes.
you're the
You're the
reason why
reason
you're
he's
dead.
dead. That's a time loop thing, which I always find weird because there's no way to get out of them.
Yeah,
It's like then he wouldn't be here if he didn't kill himself as a human. Then how would he go back in time to stop himself from killing
they get
himself as a
yo,
human?
they're
Yeah.
they the the time shit in these games is so ridiculous. You can't even make it. I watched an 8-hour YouTube video of all the cutscenes
Wait, from
somewhat
this game?
recently, and I can't even tell you the time travel. I can't even tell you the logic behind it is time
All
travel.
right, so we did as much good talk as we can do on the game. Actually, I want to end on this for good talk. Actually, what's weird is Soul Reaver 2 that you mentioned was a PlayStation 2 exclusive. I think that
Oh, it
hurt.
wasn't okay. So I thought it came
That
out for
probably
Windows
no,
also.
and that probably hurt them. Um,
Wow.
the story picks up directly after blah blah blah. I just saw something that said it was negative about it. Where was it? Oh, it was criticized for being no side quests and and it was easier than its predecessor.
Oh.
Whatever, I have no idea. I vaguely recall it.
So did
But
you know
mhm.
at the same time as them as Eidos making Soul Reaver and Soul Reaver 2, there was a side company. I think it was Crystal Dynamics, or I'm not really sure 100% what the company was making it, but they made a sequel to Blood Omen. They made a Blood Omen 2.
Blood Omen 2, correct.
So
That was released after Soul Reaver 2, though,
that came
wasn't
out in 2002 for the PS2, Windows, Xbox, GameCube, and it's weird because I don't think anyone gives a shit about it. It's just about like sexy Kane. He's got like abs, and it's just his escapades, like as a vampire, like when he
it?
chose to be a dickhead.
Yeah, yeah. I remember I played a demo of that game, or I downloaded an illegal version of that game or something, and I was like,
Whoa,
this is
whoa, whoa, whoa! I'm sorry. Did you just admit to a crime?
no. My son did. He's only 5. He can.
Wait, that doesn't make sense. Your son, who you currently have, downloaded a game from 2002?
Yeah. Anyway, you can arrest him. FBI, I'll hand him over. It all gets wiped when he's 18 anyway. Let him serve some time. It'll teach him a lesson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a piece of shit anyway. So so I'm just gonna roll through the rest of the series just to kind of
Go
give
ahead.
you a
Do you have an order?
yeah, just give you a look of where it went.
Go ahead.
So then after Blood Omen 2 came out, I don't think really people cared or liked about it.
No.
It's just a really
Nobody
weird
played
entry.
it, and it was my screen name, and I didn't play Blood Omen 2. Okay, go ahead.
So then they go full hog into the time travel shit.
Yeah.
Because then in 2003, Legacy of Kain Defiance comes out for the PS2, Xbox One.
Defiance. Oh my god.
So in that, you play as both Kain and Raziel.
Yeah,
you go through the
oh,
past.
God.
You find out that guy Mobius was the reason behind all this. Because of course, these fucking time travel things, you always find the least suspecting person. Apparently,
the guy who just showed up for 5 minutes in one episode.
Yeah, he was the reason Kain started like a war with the humans and did a genocide, and they try to figure out a way to stop him. And again, like I said, I watched an 8-hour video on YouTube of all these cutscenes, and I can't even tell you what Defiance was about. So I think afterwards, people kind of had, not that they had enough. There was just too much shit going on.
It wasn't cool. It was like stupid. It was like,
yeah, it was getting ridiculous.
Well, and also they're basing everything on nostalgia, and like at this point, A, the nostalgia ran out, and B, they're going in weird directions, and C, it's like it's not even like they're running on the same technology. It's not like it's like super fresh, up to date shit. It's like, hey, it's the same old shit. Now we got a worse story, and everything's more convoluted. If you want to jump back in, and everyone's like, no.
So they let the franchise, I guess, sleep because they were like, but of course they wanted to make money and they couldn't think of a way to do it.
Right.
And then in January of 2015, there was an open beta for a game that they announced called Nosgoth.
This guy.
It was a free online multiplayer. I remember this game because it was hyped because it was like, oh shit, like there's an online multiplayer taking place in Legacy of Kain world.
There's one video you'll find that circulates everywhere that's like a 15-minute video that I vividly recall about this game. But yeah.
Yeah, and it was just a multiplayer game where you play as either a human or a vampire. And the sort of plot of it, even though there was no real plot, it takes place apparently, so I don't remember this part either, but in Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, at some point, Kain stabs Raziel or fucking punches him in the face or kicks his dick in or something, and he gets knocked out. And then he jumps in a time stream. And apparently between the time that he did that and then when he came back from the time stream, shit just went wild in Nosgoth. Like there was no leaders, all the clans were all crazy. So this takes place in that time where Kain wasn't around, Raziel was knocked out, and there was just chaos. So this takes place in between then. And I was so confused. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Why would you make a game? Nobody really wants this. And then I did some more digging and I found out that there was supposed to be another game in the Legacy of Kain series before Nosgoth.
So this is like what they were trying to make as a game, and they just kind of ripped it into a fake
game. And like they sort of kind of just caved to like the whole multiplayer thing before it became bigger than it is now. In 2012, I believe, maybe sooner, there began work on a PS4, PS3, like all the Xbox, all the systems at the time. There was a game coming out called Legacy of Kain Dead Sun. I don't know if you know about this.
No, I don't.
So Legacy of Kain Dead Sun was set in the far future of the Legacy of Kain world, long after the events of Soul Reaver and Defiance, which was the last like actually mainline one. And players controlled a new guy named Kain. Like the name is spelled like Ed Gein. So it's Gein, which is, why would you fucking name a character after a people eater? But it says Gein, he's a vampire, and you also play as Asher, a human whose souls became intertwined as they traveled the land of Nosgoth. And this stuff leaked. I remember they sort of promoted it when it got put out, and they were hyping it. And the guy Gein and the Asher character arc would escalate from a quest of revenge to a journey which would kind of course, decide the fate of the world. I'm sure the Pillars of Nosgoth would be in it, blah, 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 time travel, whatever the fuck you want to call it. There was a vampire child. There was the Elder God. He was in it. And here's the thing, Square Enix, you know the company that makes...
yeah, absolutely.
They bought Eidos in 2009.
Yes. Okay.
So they owned the rights to this new game they were making.
Huh.
And they just didn't like it. And what they wanted to do was they didn't want to make a reboot, but they didn't want to retcon everything. So they wanted to just use the world, and they wanted to use like character names in like the broadest term possible, so you didn't have to play the old games.
Yeah.
And there was a multiplayer part of it. So there was a single player and the multiplayer. They scrapped the single player and turned the multiplayer into Nosgoth, and then released Nosgoth.
That's awesome.
So then Nosgoth failed.
Let's go.
Nobody cared about it. I remember my girlfriend was playing it, when we first started dating. It was like 2015. She was super psyched,
Dude.
and
Was
she was like,
was she 16 yet or whatever? I don't know.
"Whoa." I just remember that she was hype about
She
it. I was like,
wasn't.
"Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. She was just at bedtime was like 8 p.m. I guess.
yeah," because
Yeah.
that's not going to get me in trouble.
Moving on.
Moving on, but yeah, that's. I just remember it existing, and then it literally 4 months later, the servers went down because nobody cared. So it's just a crazy thing that we talk about Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver with such fucking reverence, and this game did everything years before anything else did. And you compared it to Siphon Filter. Siphon Filter sucked dick when it compared to the graphics. I mean, I love Siphon Filter.
Siphon Filter had some of the coolest gameplay
Listen,
ever. Do you remember following the guy in your tuxedo
yeah,
and
of
rolling?
course I do.
Of course you do. Anton,
Like,
you do. Like, yeah, I
I'll
know.
blow that game until the cows come home.
Yeah.
But all in all, it sucked compared to Legacy.
Did, but I always talk with the other Dan about this. Like, there is a factor of fun. I think the Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver had some fun to it. It probably wasn't the most fun game in the world.
No,
The
I agree.
other
It's probably so dreary.
Right, it was very dreary, very dark, very gothic. But this is what's interesting. The other games in the series had probably zero fun.
Okay.
Like you were playing them just to play,
just to continue the fucked up time story.
Yeah, the story and the characters and play the atmosphere and everything, which was awesome. But really, they probably weren't that much fun.
No, I agree. I mean, here's the crazy thing. I mean, I wanted to say I would go back and play them in a heartbeat just to kind of do a run through and say like, oh, you're right, this wasn't fun. This isn't as good as I remember.
Right.
But Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver and most of that series has not been re-released in any way, shape, or form.
I think that usually that's like that's usually a red flag that Windows or Microsoft or there's always a company involved that wants more money than they're worth, and that it's not worth releasing this because, like, I don't know, who wants to play it again? Like,
well, so the only one I know that got re-released was on the PS3. You were able to play PS1 games because they could easily
backwards compatible.
So just Blood Omen, the first Blood Omen was backwards compatible, and I had that.
Is that where you played it? And
that's where I remember. Yeah, that's where I played it for the first time. I think it was like, 10 years ago or something like that. But it's just crazy that Soul Reaver 1, Soul Reaver 2, Defiance. Was that it?
Yeah. No.
But it's just crazy that, right now you can play PS2 games on the PlayStation 4. Like there's a way to do that on their streaming service. But I think with all the red tape involved, it's so fucked up with all these companies. They're like, nah, we don't want you to play these games because we know that you're not going to get the time travel shit.
Right, and also they have to port it. So porting a game is like apparently it takes forever to do, and it's boring
your mom
and
told me
stupid. And your mom actually ports games. It's weird. She has what do they call it? The biggest port in the industry. So, so
I don't know why I thought that was so funny.
I don't know. It was immature. So what we're getting at, folks, is that Legacy of Kain was beyond its time. It was awesome. It was literally worth having an AOL screen name about.
Yeah.
I
mean, you could literally say what the fuck happened. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
Why do people cared about this series? Because when the news of
I just read a stat while we were talking that said 46% of all Legacy of Kain related sales. So Blood Omens, Defiance, Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 2, Blood Omen 2. Of all the games combined, Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver made up 46% of the sales of all the games.
Holy shit.
No, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous because it made up half of the sales of every game, and it's probably one of 6 games.
Yeah.
So it's literally 6 times better, I guess. Is that the math? I'm not good at math.
I'm not good. Yeah, I don't know the math either.
But either way, it's better than all the other games in the series by a large margin. It had a bigger team, a bigger production. I actually read friggin' back in 1999, they had a $4 million marketing program for this game that involved articles, pictures online, stuff like that. And I was like, that's so funny. That's literally
I love the
aimed
way,
at me.
yeah, I love the way that they're tooting like we had pictures online.
Well, like, but I mean, I'm telling you, this was like the first game to have that kind of stuff, where I could like look up concept art and stuff, and it was aimed at people like me who fucking bought the game and didn't care that the ending was cut short.
Well, this is definitely the first game. Like, if you had a game out now and you hyped it everywhere, you put it on all social media, you made commercials,
Uh-huh.
so toys for it. Like there was Legacy of Kain toys. I remember there's a Raziel action figure, literally
Never had one.
Well, there's one in the comic book store near me.
Oh, damn.
This dude sells a Soul Reaver too, Raziel. I've seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just crazy that I think Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver was the first social
Like hype train?
hype train for a game.
Yeah.
I mean, again, like Final Fantasy VII came out. Like there was Mario games, there was
Sure.
all this shit. But I think Soul Reaver like kind of transcended, pun intended. Like it kind of shifted through another like realm to get across to more people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the first ones to use all the different medias, which is what I said in the beginning, kind of. And you were like, that doesn't make sense. And now you're like, yeah, it does make sense.
Well, I mean, see here with the Famicom, we like to steal people's ideas and then kind of edit out
And then
the parts we don't like.
And reintroduce them as your own.
So basically, what I'm going to do is when I edit this podcast,
It's just you talking.
It's just me talking with all my ideas.
Oh, it's a great idea, dude. I'm sure you'll have more viewers and
So I don't really have guests. I just have people that I can kind of edit out their ideas.
and then just steal it.
Yeah,
That
so it
makes
just
sense.
sounds like I'm talking to myself, but taking you out. That kind of reminds me of, I don't know if have you ever heard of the PlayStation 1 game called Apocalypse?
No, is that?
It starred Bruce Willis. Do you remember that at all?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what they did with that game. I mean, this little like side thing, but that game came out and they made this game and Bruce Willis was only supposed to be your sidekick. Like there
Yeah.
was a whole nother character. So all of Bruce
I'm
Willis
literally remembering this game and commercials for it and pieces of it and pictures of it as we're talking. This is so weird. Go ahead, keep talking.
well, so all of Bruce Willis's dialogue was responses. It was all like if I said, "Hey, let's go this way," Bruce Willis, and he was like,
God,
"Yeah,
dude, I
you're right."
remember this game.
So all of his dialogue was responses, and as they were finishing production, the production company was like, "Wait, why wouldn't someone want to play as Bruce Willis? Let's just cut this dude out and you play as Bruce Willis." But they kept in all Bruce Willis's weird dialogue that was just responses. So if you play that game in the cutscenes, his replies to another person are his
himself?
solo replies. So he would come out like of a door and be like, "What are you talking about?" And it's supposed to be him responding to somebody, but they just kept it in, so it's just him by himself. It's so weird.
Dude, this
It's
is
the
also
weirdest
so
fucking game.
weird. I played this game. I actually I rented this from Blockbuster. I'm looking at it. It had the power-ups. It was a top-down shooter, kind of like a side scroller a little bit because it would change dimensions some ways. But then it had power-ups. Oh my God, dude, I remember this game. I actually got probably 3/4 of the way through and it was due back and I never
I
played.
should have saved that for another episode of What the Famicom podcast.
Yeah,
because
that's wild.
that's in itself.
And
If
wait,
you-
I didn't gather from the dialogue or anything, but I was probably also like 10 or 14 or whatever the fuck we were. I don't know.
I was doing a lot of drugs back then, so I kind of knew.
Yeah, you still are. The same
Maybe.
drugs. Actually, the exact same drugs.
The exact
You
same,
just-
yeah.
You just throw them up and use them again every day. I'm blessed,
doesn't
dude.
make
That's how you save money.
So
Wrap it up, dude. Wrap it
I guess
up.
we got to wrap it up. I mean, we talked
We gotta
about
wrap it up.
we
That's
talked
like a
about
condom.
Uncharted. We talked about Legacy of Kain. We talked about
We
Bruce
talked
Willis
about-
Apocalypse.
Stop stealing the Unpander's idea. Why are you talking so fast?
Is that what you do in your pod? Well, let's
Yeah,
just.
really.
I mean,
All right,
I'm
all
gonna.
Let's
tell
really.
And our friend
So
Nick
we-
here has another podcast.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to promote it. I don't even want to talk about it.
Okay, I'll shut up now.
It's the Unpanderers, folks. If you type in un and then panderer. So, like, if you're a panderer, we're not that. So, if you want to donate money, I won't do shit for you, okay? You can try and make me pander. You can give me $1 million. I'll tell you to shove it up your butthole. Anyway, we're the Unpanderers. We love everyone. You guys give a listen, donate some money. That'd be great.
You can find them on YouTube, Instagram, right? No. Twitter?
Yeah, I don't know, dude. We're on everything. Just type in the word. You'll find it. If anyone wants to find shit, they'll find it. It's not like they're like, oh, I really wanted to find it, but I gave up after a minute.
I gave up because I typed UN. I didn't feel like typing the rest.
I was like, So anyway, this is gonna be a good podcast, dude.
Yeah. So If
No,
you
no, the
also
on
want to,
pander's not
if
you.
you also want to follow my friend Nick here, his handle is Molten Funk. Again, mine is What the Famicom on every social media platform.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you listening to this episode. If you
I
enjoyed
did
it, give me some feedback.
If
You
you
got
did,
anything
give
else you
him
want to
some
say, Nick?
feedback too. No. If you didn't enjoy it, give feedback too.
Well, that's why I actually always like to end it with, if you didn't enjoy it, please give me feedback so I can unfollow you and block you, and I don't
Okay.
want to talk to you ever again.
No, I actually enjoyed being on your podcast, dude. Even though it was terrible, I hated it. But oh, is it off? Are we still recording? Oh,
Oh my
Jesus.
God. Oh my God, yeah.
Jesus. Anyway,
So
thank.
again, I appreciate you guys listening. That is it for episode 3 of What the Famicom. I don't know what we're
Oh,
gonna, whatever the title is that shows up. Maybe it'll be a pun on Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, like
Soul Peaver, maybe you'll
yeah,
put.
like a porn parody pun, like
Yeah.
Leggy Son Legacy of Kain Butt Reaver or something.
Legacy of P. Soul Peaver. I don't know.
It's
That's.
done. That's the title. All right, Molten Funk, I appreciate it.
Thanks,
All
guys.
right,
Thanks for having
everybody.
me on. I like your audience. They're cute.
Have a good night, everybody. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.
What the Famicom? What was the Famicom? What the Famicom? What was the Famicom?